Okay, so now that you've created a new project for Premiere Pro CS6, you'll want to import your video so you can start to edit. There are several ways to bring in your video. I'm going to show you two here. Your first is you go to File, Import, and then you browse out to where your video file is. I'm going to cancel that so I can show you the other way. The other way is if you can see a window where your file is. Here we can see my desktop, and you can just drag it over here into your project window. And your video is imported. So then I'm going to drag my video over here onto my timeline into video 1. I'm going to keep my existing settings. My video is probably imported larger than my 1280 by 720, but I want my final output to be 1280 by 720, so we're going to do a slight adjustment. This does affect the quality of your video, so hopefully your original file is of higher quality, or we want to acquire video that is of a higher quality so we can work at the size we want. So with my video selected here, I'm going to go up to Effect Controls up here in the top left window and click on Motion, and it gives me this box around my video file. I'm going to grab the corner and scale it up to fit within my window. And so now we see we don't have any black bars. Mute that. So now we can see we don't have any black bars around our video. So now we can start to edit. So prior I asked for you guys to write down your time code, which is represented here at the top of your sequence window. 00 represents, I believe, days. 03, no, that's not true. This represents hours, this represents minutes, this represents seconds, and this represents frames. So we can go to, let's see, the clip that I wanted was from 3 minutes, 2 seconds, and 19 frames. I'm going to go to my razor blade tool, which is C on the keyboard, and click there, and then we'll scrub out to my next keyframe, which is 030727. You can use the right and left keys on the keyboard to fine-tune where your playhead goes. I'm going to click with the razor blade tool again on my red line. Then I'm going to hit V to get the direct selection tool, or I can click up here and get that as well in my tool palettes. I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to drag it over to my project window, and I'm going to double click here and rename it Sword. And so now I can go back at any time here. I'll delete the first section of my video out, and now I can go back and I can reuse that clip as much as I want. Again, you see that I would need to resize it when I would want to bring it back on, since it is smaller than the video that I'm going to be editing. So let's move forward here. Looking forward in our timeline, let's take a look at an audio track. So if you toggle this little spin arrow and toggle that down, you can stretch out your audio track, and you can see the waveforms for your audio. I'm going to turn the audio back on so we can hear it. And so once you become familiar with this, you'll be able to start to read your audio. So here is a moment of silence or minimal background noise. We can see that from the flat line. And then here is a crescendo of music, speech.
Noise here. He arrives precisely when he means to.
And it looks like my audio is a little off on this file. So anyhow, you can edit to your audio So say we just wanted Gandalf speaking that clip, and then we could grab that, and say we don't want the video with it either. So I can, with my direct selection tool, click Control and click on there and click Unlink. And so now I've got a video file that I can select. Zoom in a little bit here. We've got a video file that I can select separate from the audio file. Here's a linked file. Let me click on that. You can see it selects both of them at the same time. So I can delete my video and I can drag my audio over here and make an audio clip and call it Gandalf Talks. All right, so now let's talk about editing pieces of video together. So let me make another clip here. Just take this clip real quick. All right, now I'm going to delete everything from my timeline and go back to 0 on my timeline. I'm going to drag in my sword clip. To undo that, I'm going to drag in my sword clip. Keep existing settings, drag in my Hobbit clip, and so for some reason we want to have the hobbits play. He looks up and looks around, and then we're going to have a sword swing. I'm going to turn off the audio on that for now. So we can go into effects, and we're going to do a video dissolve. So we type in dissolve up here to quickly find that, and we'll drag cross dissolve across the section that we want to cross dissolve. And there's our simple cross dissolve. Also, one thing I want to point out is I'm going to select both of these and move it forward about 3 seconds. Typically, videos that we see have about 3 seconds of black before they start. So to do that, we would also add a cross dissolve at the beginning, so it fades up from black. And then continue to edit our file. Okay, so let's say we need to add an additional audio track. So we've got this clip of the hobbits here, and as this piece of fruit hits the hobbit in the head, we want to have a boing sound. So importing audio is the same as importing video. You go to import, or you can drag it in like I showed you with the video. You navigate to where your audio file is, and you click import. It shows up over here in your project window. You can see it looks a little different because it doesn't have a video associated with it, so it's just a example waveform. And then you drag it into, so we want this to play over top of the other audio that we currently have playing, so we want to drag it over here onto audio 2. And let's see here, I lined up my playhead with where I wanted it to start, probably right about there, and then as you drag your clip over, it kind of snaps to that playhead. We'll hit play to see. So we've got a little boing here as it hits him in the head, but it's not quite loud enough, so this yellow line represents the audio. We're going to crank that up to about 6 decibels higher than what it should be. Still not comedically loud. Let's see if we can get it any higher here. Nope, looks like 6 decibels is all it's going to go. Okay, so that's using audio, that's using video, and using different effects or cross dissolves, I guess. You can also add blurs. There's a whole library of things that you can add in here. So we'll add a Gaussian blur to this for some reason. So I drag the Gaussian blur effect over the video, and then up here in my effect controls I now have a Gaussian blur palette to choose from, and this is basically defined by the blurriness. So as I scroll up, you can see the video in my preview window over here becomes out of focus, so you could fake a focus. So maybe you're gonna both fade in and blur in. So if you wanted to animate this blur, and this is true for any of the effects, go to the beginning and click on this stopwatch over here, and we're gonna set the blurriness to, let's say, 60. Click the stopwatch, and we're gonna go in 1 second to 4 seconds. And we're going to click this little add and remove keyframe button here, which puts another keyframe. The first keyframe was placed by clicking that stopwatch, so we'll click that. And then we're gonna zoom that back down to 0. And so if you watch over in the movie section, the preview section, as we zoom in, it zooms in, or I'm sorry, as we fade in, it's slightly blurry. Kind of like we're just opening our eyes in the morning. And then it sharpens back up. Okay, I hope that was a help.